My name is Ethan Quant. I am the third of four children, so I am the middle child. I'm 42 years old. I am a business owner, a husband, a father. I am a brother, a son, and I am a fitness advocate. I am a forever learner, and I have learned a lot, and I have grown a lot over my 42 years of existence here on planet Earth. And, now I think that I have experienced so much that I actually have some value to add through sharing some of the lessons that I have learned and some of the lessons that I'm actually learning in business life and everything else. It's funny, I always used to get in trouble for my bright ideas. I remember one thing in particular, it was my mom's birthday, and I literally went to all of the neighbors and planned a potluck. And I told all the neighbors what they were supposed to bring. It was supposed to be a surprise. It would have worked too, and it would have been awesome, but one of the neighbors called and asked my mom if they can bring something else because what they said they were going to bring, they couldn't bring anymore. And so my mom was like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Yeah, Ethan came over and he said that we're having a party for you and I was supposed to bring this thing." Needless to say, I got the cut up of my life, right? And it was because my mom is a very private person. She's a very humble person. She's a very prideful person. And, we grew up that what happens in the house stays in the house, and she never used to like ask people for stuff. And so, she was very embarrassed. I got my hip cut, and she said, "It's you and your bright ideas. You always having these bright ideas." And it's so funny because for so long I looked at that as a negative, but really it's my bright ideas that has inspired me and carried me through to getting to where I am now as far as being an entrepreneur, building multiple six-figure businesses, working on my first seven-figure business. I started my entrepreneurial journey at 24 as a mortgage broker. And now I am founder and CEO of the leading media and production company in the Bahamas and the fastest growing in the Caribbean. And so it's all through my bright ideas. As early as I can remember, I always wanted to be a businessman. And for me, that meant wearing a suit and a tie and having a briefcase. And I remember one Halloween, I actually dressed up as a businessman. Everybody else was wearing, Superman and Alf. I don't know if y'all guys remember Alf, but that may date me a bit. But I just remember I always wanted to be a businessman. My mom had a side hustle while I was growing up where she used to sell cakes and pastries. And I always thought of ways that she could actually improve her business. I remember one year in my teens, for Mother's Day, I actually bought my mom business cards and customized invoices. And everybody else was getting her like other stuff. But I always have gravitated more towards practical business like gift giving. And so I know I was born with the entrepreneurial spirit. I know I wear a lot of hats, right? I am a CEO and founder of Lifestyles Digital Media Group. I'm also a luxury estate agent with Corcoran C.A. Christie. And on the outward appearance, it may seem like those two are totally unrelated, but I actually always had a passion for real estate. My first business was actually in the real estate industry, but on the financing side. And so I had a mortgage brokerage for my first business. And then I transitioned from that business into a fitness and wellness business where we did corporate wellness programming. And then the business that I'm in now, which is media. And so I've always had a passion for real estate. I've always been impressed with real estate development. And I just love doing the business and the sport of real estate. I mean, I think it's one of those super competitive industries that requires an individual to really tap into all aspects. And so I think real estate really at its truest form is the truest form of business. We actually did some personal branding content for one of the top brokers in the Bahamas. He literally courted me for about 2.5, almost 3 years before I finally said yes. He said, "Hey, Ethan, with your knowledge of real estate financing from your mortgage brokerage. You look the part because you look healthy and fit, and with your media company and your overall attitude and how you approach life and business. He said, I think you would be perfect for the luxury space. I really did stench for quite a while until one day I was like, you know what, let's do it. And so a couple of years ago, I did my apprenticeship, I got my license. And if I'm being honest, I really didn't do much with it. Late last year, I was actually getting ready to quit real estate because I wanted to focus on the media. And I went into Gavin's office and he was like, no, like you have to be able to see the awesome position that you're in because you own a media company. And this is one of the areas that a lot of real estate professionals struggle with the most, which is content. And so he said, just give it one more shot. Don't think you have to choose, figure out how you can do both. And I'll tell you that reframing that really transformed my real estate business. I started Bahamas Island Luxury, which is a platform for all things luxury in the Bahamas, not even just real estate. And a week after I had that conversation with Gavin, after not doing much for about 2 years in the space, I got my first multi-million-dollar listing, which is a super amazing one-bedroom condo in Goldwyn Resorts. We've already launched Bahamas Island Luxury, which is, like I said, a platform. We've toured some multi-million-dollar properties, and we actually have more to grow. And it's just interesting because when we were on set for Aquilina, when we were shooting that with the developer, that's really where I saw the appreciation and saw what Gavin saw before, which is the marrying of the media and the real estate. And I can tell you that Bahamas Island Luxury has the best real estate content out there now. And of course, that's produced by the best content creation team in the game, which is Lifestyles Digital Media Group, which I am the founder and CEO of. When it comes to this mix of business and family life, I'll be honest, I'm not the best. I'm not the best. It's an area that I'm working to improve continuously. I will say that it has made it easier because my wife is also an entrepreneur. And my daughter doesn't require much attention. She's in university now. And so really they just give me a space to be me. I will say that because I love business, like there is no real separation for me between business and personal. Like I don't have an off switch. And so having my wife and my daughter there, they kind of cause me to pause. And I do appreciate, being able to kick back. But really how I'm wired is that I am trying to build something great. And so I don't have the luxury of being able to rest. I often say that I rest when it's more productive to rest than it is to actually work. And so, for so many years, it was one of those things where it was looked down upon. Everybody would tell me, oh, Ethan, you work too much. You're a workaholic. You should really take some time to do something fun but you enjoy it. But the reality is that I do enjoy work. It brings me tremendous happiness. And I really do not like to not work. And for so many years, I felt like I was an oddball until I came across Alex Hormozy. And literally this dude articulated everything that I have been feeling for years, which was that, I do love to work and that should be okay. I love to build. I love to challenge myself and that's okay. And so hearing somebody at that level say that, hey, it's okay. Like you don't have to worry. Like balance looks different for everybody. Really gave me, I guess, made it easier for me to kind of just accept what I was feeling naturally. And really it took my productivity and my work ethic even more. So like I work 7 days a week, I work 14, 16 hours a day and I love it. And I am fortunate that my wife understands, but sometimes she'll be like, okay, baby, like, let's go. But I told her it isn't that I don't want to go out or take a break, but I need her. Like if you're waiting on me to do it, like it's probably not gonna get done. But she gets that now. And so when she wants to go out, she literally puts it on my calendar. When she wants to have some QT, some quality time with just me and her, she literally puts it on my calendar. She sends me a calendar invite. And so I love the fact that I have somebody who understands but also accepts and actually works with me the way that I need to be worked, so that I can have a healthy and fulfilling marriage in the midst of all of this work. Fitness is a big part of my life. It's literally the foundation. I wake up every morning and I train. So much so that if I don't work out, I feel like my entire day is thrown off. I used to be 306 pounds, and then I had this super inspiring moment at a friend's wedding, and I decided that I wanted to get a six pack. And so that led me on a really intense transformation where I lost 110 pounds, started competitive bodybuilding, and fitness has been a part of my life ever since. And that's actually why I closed my first business, because I was like, this is so much fun. Fitness is so cool. How can I get paid for this? And so literally I dissolved my mortgage brokerage that was doing super successful. It was my first six-figure business. And I went straight into fitness. And even in that industry, I was able to build a six-figure brand. I was like, I want to be paid to work out. And so I literally started a fitness business. And then from there, like I said, I got into competitive bodybuilding. But there was a time after I retired about 10 years ago that fitness really just became how I stayed focused mentally. I don't have a lot of friends, quote unquote, that I could call on and stuff like that. And even my therapist, I call them when things are really, really dire. But fitness really is the regulator. And so if I'm happy, I train. If I'm sad, I train. And I just know that I get such a clarity of mind after I train that it really puts a lot of things in perspective. And sometimes I will go to the gym when the weight of business and even, my personal life weighed so heavily on me. I would literally just go in the gym and cry as I'm deadlifting or, doing some bench press or, just working out. Like literally I would sit there and I would just cry through my workout. And so the gym for me has really gone from a place to just aesthetics to really, it's my sanctuary. People say that, but I know that it has really gotten me through some of the darkest, most lonely and difficult times in my life. And so it's an integral part of my life. And so I train every day. It really isn't optional. Like I literally train every day, sometimes twice a day, so much so that I actually built my gym at the house because I wanted to make it more efficient and accessible, so that if I can't sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can literally just go to the gym in my house. My wife actually agreed to let me turn our dining room into what I call trench fitness, but it's our home gym. It's my fitness routine, my discipline, my consistency in the gym that actually really helps me in all the other areas of my life, because I do believe that a healthy and fit body houses a healthy and fit mind. And so it's gotten me through dark times emotionally. It brings clarity. It's literally something I do every day, and I will do it for as long as I live. I decided to start the Real EQ podcast really because I feel that I have something to share. Those who are closest to me, my friends, my family, my team members at my company, I share and I consistently strive to add value to them every day. And a lot of them would tell me, how my insights really help them move, and it adds value to them and it helps them level up. And so, I've been doing that now for as long as I can, because it is one of my ultimate goals, is to add value to everybody that I meet. And so I just thought that now I'm in a position where, I want to be able to add value at scale. And really that's the inspiration for this podcast. And so, I made a lot of mistakes. I've learned a lot of lessons, but I have had tremendous successes, and I am on a path to even greater success. And I really do want it to be a situation where, whether you're stuck in business or your personal growth or relationships or whatever it is, that you can find some value from these episodes in this podcast. I have some very influential people who have helped me through, and who have taught me lessons and taken time to speak with me. And I watch a lot of podcasts and I learn a lot from a lot of other people. And so, I just really thought that now would be a better time than any to just share my experiences that have helped me get to the point that I'm at now in business and in life, and then also share what I'm doing in real time to get me to the next levels in business and in life. And so if you're somebody who just wants to elevate, whether that's personally, professionally, relationally, this is a podcast for you. So to everybody watching, I just want to let you know that where you are right now doesn't define where you can go. You've got everything that you need to build something great. If you're willing to get uncomfortable and do the work, stick around, because this podcast is all about helping you tap into your inner greatness to get you to the next level. Peace. I just wrapped up shooting the first episode of the Real EQ podcast, just kind of sharing my story, my personal experience, why I decided to do the actual podcast. And I do want you to stay tuned, because my intention is to constantly add value and to challenge you. And that's literally what I'm going to be doing on this podcast. Stay tuned, because you don't want to miss it. And thank you for your time and attention. All right, so that wraps up episode 1. Until next time, get uncomfortable and do the work, because the world needs your greatness. Peace.